Hello and welcome to Forever Sports. Coming to you from Cape Town, actually, where I am sitting. That is Greenpoint Stadium. I don't know if you can really see it behind me. And tell you what, phenomenal weather down here. Just a pity there's no Stormers games, but very interesting Stormers news coming out of Cape Town today, with them announcing their touring squad for their trip overseas, and a huge tour for the Stormers, who are trying to basically just keep their URC ambitions alive. And some massive news is they're getting some big players back. Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu, Damian Willemse in the squad alongside the likes of Connor Evans for their trip to Wales. And on the back of the Springbok alignment camp, which happened last week, very important, especially something like a Damian Willemse to start getting a bit of a run of games into the end of the season, because he's not played this season. And in a sort of absence, Unveiled has really gone on to seal kind of that number 15 jersey, to the point where people are talking about the fact that, even when Willemse comes back, he's second choice, which is an incredible concept considering how good he was at the World Cup and how much he had basically nailed down that jersey as one of the best fullbacks, if not arguably the informed fullback in the world. Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu as well, has come back and had several different small injuries throughout this season. He needs to come back and kind of prove his full fitness. Some big absentees for the Stormers is no Ben Jason Dixon, who will undergo surgery and will be out for a spell on the sidelines. Also no Neethling Fouché, who is set to welcome the birth of a child this week, in the next few weeks, and he has not travelled. The only uncapped player in the squad is Luke Berger, who will travel over there. Very excited to see how he's done. A youngster in playing Varsity Cup, looked very promising. So following sort of the mold like Jonathan Roach and the likes of that. So it's a strong squad for the Stormers, and they need to go overseas and get results. We're looking at the likelihood of getting 4 teams, for example, into the URC top 8. Not looking phenomenally promising. Lions had a huge opportunity against the Sharks a couple of weeks ago. Didn't quite manage to get it over the line. The Stormers, they can get some results away, they really put themselves back into contention. The biggest problem, I think, from a South African point of view is you've got to get home playoffs. The traveling kills us, especially now with EPCR Challenge Cup matches coming up as well. The run into this sort of the back end of this tournament is going to be really difficult for the South African teams. And that's why having players back gives you obviously a bit more license to rotate, to be able to sort of, use your full squad, where they haven't been able to use it consistently throughout the season. So the Stormers, for example, I think they've really struggled to 10. I think Willemse is a promising young player, but he's really struggled in the last few months with no having Manie Liebach, no Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu, no Damian Willemse. I mean, Willemse is really your fourth choice flower half, and unfortunately he's kind of looked a bit like the fourth choice flower half at times. He's at times been looking very promising, but has sometimes struggled to really sort of take on the mantle and really sort of lead the line for the Stormers. So big returns for them. And John Dobson under a lot of pressure. This is a guy who we spoke about being potentially a Springbok coach a few years ago. Now there's talks about him, facing the sack based on what we've seen this season, and needs to try and find something in the next few weeks to get themselves into the URC playoffs and kind of to get the sort of Stormer side back on track. They've got some nice players arriving next year, none bigger than the likes of Kobus Reinach. They've signed Intutuka Kunu. So as a union, they're bringing in the right players. They're retaining some good players as well. So they're building a very good squad. But I think the general feel is they've underperformed so far this season. And yes, they have had lots of injuries, and that's definitely been a major part of the fact that I think they've struggled a little bit. But I think they're still, even with those injuries, underperformed to what we kind of come to expect. The way they play, losing some really silly games in some silly ways. And there is a lot of pressure growing on them because they're not getting the kind of results we expect them to get. So the big question, I suppose, now is Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu, Damian Willemse, what can they do to the side? Steven Hartzenberg coming back into the mix as well. Connor Evans adds a little bit of depth. And what changed for me, I think, from Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu and Damian Willemse, it's X Factor. It's players who on their day are genuinely world class, and those are players. You see the difference between sort of good players and great players when you're under pressure, and I think that's what we've really sort of missed from the Stormers the last few months, is players who, when the chips are down, when things get quite tough, they haven't been able to stand up. They haven't been able to really change moments and sort of put their hands up and say, I will affect the game in a way. And I think they've missed on too many of those players recently. So having these two players back, leadership point of view, class point of view, it's a huge boost, and the squad will feel more comfortable going out knowing that they've got players on their field which can change a game in the instant. So the big question is, how big of a difference can they make? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. If you're in Cape Town, give me a shout. Maybe we can meet up. There's not much sport to watch this week, unfortunately, but it's phenomenal weather over here, and maybe we can have a beer or something. Let me know down in the comments below.